1,000. They're sending 1,000.
All right, we're on.
1,000?
We're live?
Yep.
All right, guys, we're gonna get this party started here. My name is Derek Ryan. I'm chairman of the Libertarian Party of Orange County. This is our official monthly business meeting for the month of June 2019. So I call the meeting to order. Madam Secretary, do we have quorum? Okay. So the agenda has been posted publicly. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay. So we have an agenda here, and tonight I'm very proud to introduce. We have a guest speaker slot. Actually, we have a couple guests in the room. Tricia, do you want to introduce your guest?
Yeah, my name is Michael Anaya. I'm in the solar energy efficiency field.
Okay, so Mike's gonna be our guest speaker next month. He was slotted for this month and asked to do it next month, and I was able to call a friend of mine to fill the slot today. And so I've known Andrew a long time, and I've got one little story that I like to share.
All right, I like stories.
So, you know, y'all know I'm a landscaper. I used to have my own business, and in 2005, when Katrina came through and created a big mess, you know, I was doing a lot of tree work, and these tree guys that I was friends with were blowing my phone up and wanting me to bring my rig and my tractor and all my equipment up to Mississippi and Louisiana to do tree work. And then Andrew and I were friends, and we saw an opportunity. I had an empty flatbed, basically. So we got a whole flatbed full of supplies. We got a whole pallet full of bottled water and MREs and just all kinds of stuff. And loaded up, and Andrew rode with me, and we had a 2 or 3 vehicle caravan and went up, you know, up into the Panhandle and ended up in Mississippi. So we're spending the night up, who knows where, in southern Mississippi one night. We had a big 55-gallon drum with fresh water in it, and had it gravity fed so that you could open a little valve and you could bathe yourself, basically, because we didn't know what we were walking into. And I also had a generator, and I had a generator sitting on the flatbed of the truck, and it was running, and you know, we had lights and whatnot. You know, I had these metal sides on the truck, so my not very tall friend was able to get in the flatbed of the truck and bathe, basically. And the generator's running, and we're all sitting around the campfire. I don't know, there's 4 or 5 of us, and we're drinking and hanging out and making the best of it. And I just hear this, ow, ow, shit, ow, ow, ow. And come to find out, the generator wasn't grounded. Andrew was standing in the back of a metal flatbed, wet, and is getting shocked. So I opened the doors, and there he is in all his God-given glory. And, we got the generator shut off and all that. But he earned a new nickname that night, and that is Sparky. So I just like to introduce one of my favorite people on the planet, Andrew Bennett, my friend Sparky.
He told that story a lot nicer than I remember it. The generator was really loud and nobody could hear my screams for help. So he had literally sparks flying off me, and also there was about 400 gallons of fuel in there that I was a little concerned about. So I was trying to get out, and I'm slipping and sliding. I literally slid out of the truck almost on him. So a little bonding moment. So first of all, thank you guys for having me here. I'm always honored and kind of taken back when somebody, anybody assembles, even if it's just one person says, hey, I want to hear what you have to say. It always, it really just fills my heart with knowing that I'm doing the right thing. So hopefully what I have to share will be encouraging. Maybe help you guys see that there's a thing you can do to help other people. You know, we're all problem solvers at heart, and I especially believe that for this country. You know, we were born of problem solvers, right? So, Derek was saying, I am a tiny house builder. It's a new industry. It's kind of We're trying to figure it out. There's not a bunch of people really successful in it first to go read their books and figure out how to do what they did to be successful in the tiny house industry. Unfortunately, I'm actually the leader right now in the tiny house industry, and there's not a whole lot to follow there except for what not to do so far. But what I have done is I've been able to make a name for myself enough that I've caught the attention on a national basis, especially particularly what we're talking about tonight is in DC. So I was recently invited to go. Have you been to my Facebook page already and seen any of this stuff? Or have you seen some of my videos?
Are you involved in that project in Altamont?
In Altamont, no.
No.
Yeah. I could be. Wouldn't mind. But yeah, so we've been kind of chipping away at this, from the ground level, local municipalities, trying to get tiny houses, specifically on wheels, accepted as a permanent dwelling. At this moment, you cannot get a certificate of occupancy, which means the powers that be saying you're allowed to live in this for anything on wheels, even though there are 10 million people last count that live in houses on wheels, be them RVs, back of their car, van life, which Derek has a really cool video on van life he'll probably share with you eventually. Yeah, so a lot of people live in that way, and we don't want to live under the radar. We don't want to live hoping that we don't get caught. We don't want to have to kind of hide out in backyards and plant bamboo and all that. We want to be able to say, hey, this is my home, and have people over and feel proud of it, even if it is a small home. If it's a humble domicile, they still want to be proud of it. So that's one of the things I push with tiny houses. It's not just for homeless people or people struggling or the old poor me kind of thing. It's actually home and dignity. You're not living in a trailer. You're not living in a RV that they're literally engineered to deteriorate so they can resell. I mean, that is really, and I have some videos about that, how that industry feeds itself with poor product that breaks down and deteriorates so that they can keep selling more. But tiny houses are actually designed, and people like me and the craftsmen around the country that have been building these things, they put their heart and souls in it and really take pride in what they're doing. And maybe you've seen some of these real nice ones. You've seen the tiny house shows?
Yep.
Like Tiny House Nation, yeah. I've been on every tiny house show there is. I'm personal friends with Jack Giffen from Tiny House Nation. Yeah. So it's kind of fun, but it's getting a lot of traction. And the cool thing is when I got a call from Ben Carson saying, hey, I want to do an innovative housing showcase here on the mall in DC so we can see what's out there. What are some of the solutions you guys are coming up with? One of my favorite statements from him in this effort is that if we just get government out of the way, people will solve their own problems. They don't need us to fix their problems.
You're here.
It's good what we're doing on our own, right? And it was really, really encouraging to hear somebody that high up in government recognize that and promote it and keep on saying it. And he said it over and over again throughout the week. I was there for 5 days, and I was asked to speak on a panel with 3 other experts in the industry about the viability of tiny houses as an affordable housing solution. Did you know that Orlando was just recently ranked as the worst city in the country for affordable housing?
Yes.
I believe it.
That stinks, especially since I have the solution 30 minutes from here.
Mm-hmm.
That hurt me to hear that. It also hurt me to know that in DC 5 years ago, 1.5 miles from where I was presenting on the National Mall, I set up a tiny house there legally, 0 lot clearance, in somebody's backyard, and they rented out to help subsidize their living expenses. And they had no problem, they're allowed to do it, but I go to put one in my backyard in Lake County, and I get red flags, and they're threatening to fine me $1,000 a day, and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, come on, for crying out loud. So when I got the invite to go up there, I was like, okay, we've been chipping away at this, and I go down to my local zoning and code enforcement. They've actually had me come and speak for the Affordable Housing Commission, and they all are, oh, this is great stuff. There's 20, 30 people there, and I leave the room, and I go home, and there's notice on my door. Gotta move the tiny house, whatever. I'm like, come on, you were the guys that asked me to come speak, and now you're sticking fine notices on my door. It's like, what is this? So it's really frustrating to the point where I've been in this industry for 8 years now, and I was just about to walk away from it when 2 people who are now my business partners copied me into giving it one more try and really making a difference than we have. So it was really encouraging to know that we've been kind of nibbling at the bottom of the mountain, right, kind of chipping away, and now I've been invited to the top to start throwing chunks down. So that's going to make the meat in the middle happen a lot faster. One of the things you guys probably already knew that I was unaware of is how far separated from reality people in DC are. You know, it was funny because over and over again, well, they had, let me tell you what they had there at the Innovation Housing Showcase was, they had my house, which was a tiny house, which was, for you solar guys, was completely running off grid. And even no sewage or anything, it runs on, has an incinerator toilet, so a really kind of a high-tech electrical system on there. But there was a mobile home manufacturing company. I was like, how is that affordable housing? They actually literally designed those as well to deteriorate. Anybody try to get, who does, you do bank loans? Mortgage and stuff? How hard is it to get a mortgage on an old mobile home?
I won't do it.
Try getting them permitted to move it. After so many years old, you can't even get it permitted to move. So how is that affordable if somebody's locked into a place where they don't even own the land, they're paying a lot rent, and the owners of the property keep up and up and up and up, and people are losing their homes. They can't afford to pay off the home and get it out of there. They can't afford to move it because they're not allowed, and now they can't afford to stay in the house because it's become too expensive to stay there. And of course, we could blame it on the individual and say, well, we should have known that going into it. Not everybody has the wherewithal to figure this stuff out. You know, we don't all have the same skill set. Like I was talking with Izzy about technology stuff. He's talking about, you know, handling some technical difficulties and problem solving there. I'm thinking that is so far away from my skill set that I just can't even come close to doing it. I'm doing everybody else's stuff. Like fishing. I'm so bad at fishing that if I go fishing with somebody who's really good, they can't even catch me. Right? But I can build the crap out of stuff. Right? And Derek has seen it. I can build the crap out of stuff, and I can problem solve in disaster areas and things like that, and I know what it takes to get a thing up and running again. So getting everybody together and bringing our pieces of the puzzle was kind of a cool thing there. But I really didn't understand why the mobile homes are there until I realized they're so far removed. They're saying, well, look at this, you can buy a modular home or a mobile home for $160,000. Anybody can afford that. And I thought, really?
Whoa.
Because that's just a house. You still have to pay to get it there, set it up, and you have to buy the property and or pay a lot rent. So it's like, they're like, yoo-hoo, we got, you know, patting themselves on the back. Look what we did. We're showing everybody that there's solutions right here. And it was really shocking to me to see that they didn't get it. They just didn't get it until they started really, and this is the reason for the showcase. They started walking in. I had about 1,500, at least 1,500 officials go through my house, 200 square foot house, so about half the size of this room. And they were all going there going, wait a minute. I didn't know this was available. I didn't know this was available. And, you know, Ben Carson came in here with his wife and his, you know, whoever the tag along and the camera monkeys and all that were jumping around. And then his wife was so impressed, she came back later that day with her best friends, and they sat in my house for an hour and a half just talking about what an opportunity this is. You know, what a great thing to see the problem-solving capabilities that they have in this country and the solutions that were right under our noses. One of the best ones I heard was the Secretary of Energy had just given this big speech, right? Because they have this big stage, everybody's going up there speaking, and I was up there speaking. And I had talked about how they got this new technology. This was one of the people on display there, where they can dig these tunnels underneath roads without disrupting the traffic, and they can run all this new infrastructure. And they went on for, you know, a couple hours about how, yeah, we can restore, you know, energy and infrastructure so fast, and we can dig new stuff, and we can make these whole communities where, you know, they all, you know, can draw power from each other, and they can have solar power and battery banks, and then share it all, and then, you know, how great that was. And I thought, well, that guy, I went and talked to him after he come off the stage. Hey, I'm Andrew Bennett. I want you to come look at my house. He goes, oh, yeah, I've been hearing about you. Because over and over and over and over again, the whole week I kept hearing, this is actually the only real innovative solution on them all on display here. This is really the only thing. There were a couple concept things that actually weren't really happening yet, but they didn't realize that we're actually a business that does build these. We built 30 this year. And that's what we do, and there are people buying it, people live in it. So we're like, oh, this is a real, actual thing that's working right now. So the Secretary of Energy comes in the house, and he's looking like, wow, this is neat, this must be really efficient. It's like, yeah, about $18 a month electricity. He goes, what? I said, well, let me throw one better at you. I said, this one's actually running off grid. He goes, you don't have this plugged in? I said, no, it's got solar panels on the roof. He goes, oh, that's great. So you just subsidize you with the solar? I said, oh, no. It's pretty sunny today. We can plug every house here in this house and run all of it. He goes, well, how did you do that? He's like, you're the Secretary of Energy. You should know how we should do that, right? So here's the thing. I said, I enjoyed your speech and I appreciate what you were saying up there, but it kind of sounds like you're trying to run telephone lines to countries that never had phone service instead of just giving them a cell phone, or better yet, a satellite phone. We're all under the same sun, and the power is there, right? We don't have to tie into our houses. We don't have to tie into each other. They each have their own supply, an excess amount. So we're not. If something tree comes down and wipes out this house over here, it doesn't take out a transformer and ruins the whole block. The average spend on restoring energy to a disaster area is almost $1 billion. That's huge. So I don't care how many FEMA trailers you send in there, they got nothing to plug them into. And people can't live in something like that, right? So it really, really surprised me. It's like, hey, listen, you guys got to get down in the dirt and see what it feels and tastes and smells like before you start deciding with other people what their solution is. So it was really a great opportunity to be able to say, hey, here's a real solution. And like I said, it was really surprising me to hear how many people said, wow, this is actually the only real solution. We keep trying to fix something in a way that we knew, but didn't realize there's actually another paradigm. There's a whole new paradigm.
This house that was on display.
Yeah, that is the actual house.
Look at it, little AC.
So, will you talk a little bit about the construction and why you're able to produce it at the price point that
Yeah, good point. So my company, what I started doing was, I had a company, Trekker Trailers, and we built these real elaborate, handcrafted, cool stuff. I did these houses for TV shows that had rock climbing walls and infrared sauna rooms, lunch and cedar and imported kitchens and all. And it was really cool, a lot of fun. But my goal was to say, I want to be able to provide a house that anybody can literally afford to buy brand new, live in it, and be able to own it and maintain it. You ever heard of like cost of ownership? Now we shop for cars, we look up for cost of ownership, right? Elon Musk is a big one for that. He's like, hey, why don't you do the whole numbers if I want to cost you to own this car? So I did the same thing with this. I was a combat engineer in the military, so my instinct is to say, what's going to keep this thing running? So you see that air conditioner there is not one of those fancy mini splits. Anybody have a mini split in their house or young? So when it breaks down, something goes bad, and they are pretty temperamental. First of all, if you put them on a movable structure, it breaks more on any air conditioner. But a mini split, the average repair cost is about $600. And if that goes bad, first of all, you don't lose your heat too. You only use air. It's not tied into each other. Any hardware store is going to have that for $250. In 15 minutes, you swap it out. So not just something that's cost effective to buy, which I'll get to the price point in a minute, but something that's cost effective to own. Every window, door, hardware piece, light fixture, heater, everything on there is off the shelf, easy to get off Amazon, Home Depot, Lowe's. All those things are readily available for repairs, replacement, and maintenance.
And the placement of the windows, so that you will get maximum airflow as well.
You get maximum airflow on there, and that house actually has a fresh air sensor system. So because it's a small space, if your body moisture and your breath fills up your eye, it'll automatically come on and circulate the air for you, so you don't get cabin fever, which is a real bacteria.
Yeah.
Good you, man. Yeah.
Are you open for modifications, or do you go to a specific set of air conditioners?
It's it's a Henry Ford process. You can get any color you want as long as it's white, any options as long as you're in there. That's one of the reasons we get our price point down. Let me tell you the price. This house we sell right now for $28,000.
That's awesome.
The average tiny house right now starts at $60,000.
That's nothing down.
So we're even in the tiny house industry, we're disruptors, right?
Yes, that's right.
So one of the reasons we're able to do this is it used to take us 800 man hours to build a house that size. This house was built in 4 days with 3 people. And they didn't even sweat because our shop was air conditioned. Right? And they had a lot of fun building it. One of the ways you're able to do that, get the labor down so much, is from using what's called a SIP panel. So a SIP panel is a structural insulated panel. These ones are a little more high tech. We researched a lot of them all around the country to see which ones were available. I tried a bunch of different ones. These are the highest quality ones. It's a high density foam core, so there's no wood structure. And then it has a chemically bonded steel skin on both sides, inside and out. It's galvanized and powder coated. So they're rated for 400 pounds per square foot pull away. So when you're hanging pictures on the wall and stuff, you don't have to look for a stud. You just stick it to it with a magnet, nail, screw, double-sided tape. It'll hold. And you don't even have to paint this house for generations. It's powder coated. It's not going to go back. So again, sustainability. It's a self-sustaining home. We actually had one that we accidentally left the windows open during a hurricane, and it just flooded with water. I literally went in the corner, drilled a hole, and just let the water out, no damage. It was really, really cool. So when I showed all this to the people up on Capitol Hill, it was a lot of this. I literally had people tell me, "No, I don't believe that. Like, there's no way you sell this for that." Or, "I don't believe the solar can put out that much power." I'm like, go walk around it. It ain't plugged in enough. And there's a readout right there. It tells you what we're drawing and what we have in capacity. So with the off-grid kit, we're still under the average price. We can sell that house with a complete off-grid kit. Full solar, which is completely autonomous. It's a patented system. You don't have to do anything to it. It's got 30 years of life cycles on the batteries and panels. They're rated for hail. That's a very resilient system. We can sell the whole house for, I think it's $45,000. The incinerator toilet uses no water. It does use electricity, but it only uses over the average span about the same as the air conditioner. So it's not a whole lot.
Is this your bed?
That's the bedroom, yep. Yeah, it actually has a bedroom, not a loft. Yeah, I'm not into climbing ladders.
That's beautiful. That's so sharp.
Yeah.
Flows really smooth.
Yeah, so that's the incinerator toilet there. You see, it looks, almost like a little prison toilet. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with that. I'll tell you, it looks like a prison toilet. I just saw a movie once. But it's, they're about $2,000, so it's not completely outrageous, but you don't need a septic tank. All you do is about once a month, a family of 4 will produce about a cup of sterile ashes. You literally empty an ashtray. You do your business, you don't have to separate anything. It's not like a compost toilet. You can throw your shoes in there, your wasted food. If you got a pet cemetery thing going on, you can do cremation, whatever you want to do. And you just empty, a little side business, right? You just empty that tray of ashes once a month. You just pour them out on the garden or whatever, because they're not a biohazard. Because it burns at about 2,000 degrees, kind of like a kiln. So that's about the equivalent of what we got going on there. And it does draw a lot of electricity, but we have an excess. We have lots of it. It's like, why do we need to be so conservative when we have that so available now? And the solar guys know that technology and the prices have come down, the technology's gone up. These batteries will fully charge in 2 hours. Yeah, and they're only about 40 pounds each. There's 2 of them, about a little bit bigger than a car battery.
What kind you got?
You're gonna ask me a technical question. I've got it on my phone, I can tell you.
That's what I got.
You need a list of specs, basically.
Yeah. We do have all that. We actually partner with a solar company that does that for us. And we're exclusive to them, and they have a patent on the system. Another cool thing is, a week before we set out with this thing, they got new technology and batteries that charges in 15 minutes. It'd be a lot more expensive, of course, but you're not running power lines, you're not tying into the grid,
electric company
and
involved.
you're totally self-sufficient. Exactly. Right? So for the life, let's say you got a 30-year mortgage on a house like this, your payment's going to be what, $200? Your batteries are going to last that long. Your house is going to last that long. Your maintenance and repairs. This has a metal roof on it, like a commercial style metal roof, but it doesn't even need it because the SIP panels have their own steel skin on it. I put it on there for looks. The structure is rated for Category 4 hurricanes. The structure itself is rated for 180 mile-an-hour winds. The windows and doors, because we buy them off the shelf, typical stuff brings it down to 157, which is still, the highest rated requirement in the country.
can withstand being unstable.
Yeah, and we have a bigger model too, you know, you just need your space, we got 280 square feet.
This is gonna sound like a weird question, but kind of a follow-up to the one I asked before. Is it possible to assemble multiple houses, extend?
Yeah, we've actually had developers that will take two of them facing together and then do a little common area with an atrium or an outdoor area like that. Some people will do like a kid's side and
It
a
sounds more
parent's
middle
side.
class, you know, like.
Yeah, you want to get the middle class, correct?
So you can daisy chain, well, you can pretty much connect these in parallel and just have your own grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A community grid.
Yeah, you
all
could.
solar
It's not a
panels.
community with this.
So yeah, I
Charge a
mean,
bunch of bank batteries, sell some power back.
exactly. And our system
Make
actually
some
has it's all integrated. If you
Right.
tie it into the system, it'll regulate all that for you. You don't have to ever touch the system. You can look at it, see what it's doing. It'll tell you on your phone or your
Kind of like
computer.
a SCADA system, kind of
Yeah.
manages itself.
Have some battery banks, you know,
Yeah.
sell back in, make some money.
Yeah. If it's worth it.
This is worth it, yeah.
Right.
If not.
I mean, obviously it's cheaper just to buy electricity from the pole for a house that only uses $18 a month, right?
Right.
But we're looking for something that's sustainable and self-sufficient. You know, we want to, you know, you guys being a libertarian right here, you want to start backing off from, you know, being connected to the system.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So this is the epitome of it. Right?
So going off the grid.
Yeah, burn it down. That's
what
another
we
thing.
call
You
it.
can actually take a blow torch to the.
Yeah, we have to use other
Won't
words.
catch fire.
Going off the grid.
Guessing it has
So we
water
can play
tanks
nice
for
with
the
others.
sink?
We don't have water tanks on ours, but I designed the chassis so they can be set up 3 different ways. As far as permitting, we've had them permitted as a modular home where they just unbolt the suspension, which comes off with 8 bolts. The timer moves, they mount it down and got it permitted. Then permitted as a mobile home, same thing, they just mount it on pylons, have it permitted as a mobile home. And then the low hanging fruit is leaving on wheels and not paying impact fees. But my chassis underneath has lots of space. You can have water tanks, battery banks, and you can actually add more suspension. You can buy another whole kit, just bolt it on there and add another 7,000 pounds of capacity.
Any utilizing of groundwater by any chance? Anything related?
You can. I actually just yesterday came up with a way that we can actually do an atmospheric water generator.
Oh, really?
And I already have a friend of mine that invented a water purification system 8 years ago called Voyager. And he deploys them all over the country. He uses the business to support his ministry of bringing foster kids out of Haiti. He's brought thousands of them out. Great guy. But that purification system, they actually put the pickup in a septic tank and pull out surgically clean water.
That's what they use in the International Space Station.
Yeah, and they're only $2,500.
Wow. One
So-
of these.
So you do one of those, you have a water tank.
Yeah.
So if you're recirculating your gray water, all you literally have to do is account for evaporation. So if you have a water generator, an atmospheric water generator pulls it out of the air, you're just gonna keep doing that. So
Pretty
you
good
start
idea,
out with
Florida.
100 gallons, whatever, you have 2 tanks. You have a gray tank and a fresh tank, you just have that filter. Yep, and that filter doesn't require, filters inside to be replaced. It's actually cleanable, very easily cleanable. You just clean it, ceramic thing, it's got a ultraviolet line and all that stuff. It purifies it all 100%. So again, you're not committed to, oh, I have to buy these filters, I have to buy this stuff to keep it going. It'll run on a car battery for like 3 days straight.
The market is disruptive for sure, and I feel like you could have some related industries connected to this.
Yeah, so one of the big things that we experienced doing that disaster relief was FEMA being terribly incompetent.
Oh boy.
So we actually, the partners we have with our solar kits, they have a contract. They actually did go through a couple of years of all the hoops and all the stuff to get this deal with FEMA to provide these houses, tiny houses, to FEMA for disaster relief. And ended up they just, well, we don't have the money now. So it's like crazy. But they don't have the money because they spent $120,000 each on those little crappy FEMA camper trailers.
Formaldehyde.
Yeah, and they sat there and just melted in their own filth, right? Because they leave them sitting in a field where they bake because they can't plug them in a field. Ours, you just leave the air running. They can sit in the field all their lives. You just leave everything going. It's climate controlled, doesn't hurt anything.
Won't grow any mold.
You can leave them out there for 30 years, they'll be fine. But yeah, they spend all that money, then they're not allowed to use them for 18 months at a time. And then they have to get rid of them.
How are these units with mold? Because you asked about.
Well, no, that's the thing. So the AC
You're gonna
runs.
suffer.
Yeah,
And
well,
mold's
ours
not gonna
even
grow.
without it because of the panel system we use, there's nowhere for mold to actually exist. Yeah, it's a hypoallergenic product. The only thing in our house that has any kind of VOC is the flooring, but we only glue it down to be what's called blue slate, so it's very limited VOC off gassing. So you sleep a little bit for the first month or so, you're good.
In terms of deploying these things in Orange County or nearby counties like Lake, Seminole, whatever, what's the biggest difficulties you've had in actually deploying these?
Okay, so the first one that they built for the prototype they built for that FEMA contract, the units were huge. They were about 14, they were 20,000 pounds, 14 feet wide. And so you had to hire a semi, and actually transporting those things to a place where they needed it was very difficult. This unit only weighs 5,500 pounds. You can pull it with a half-ton truck. You can pull it with a Tesla Model X. Oh, and you can plug your car into the house and charge it while you're driving.
Right. You can totally just.
Little perpetual motion thing going on there. So that is something that's really, really key to these.
How many kilowatts of power panels you have over there? How many?
2,100 watts on this one. We only put 6 on there. We normally would have way more than that. So
I mean, you had 2,100 just on this.
on this one we had 21. Yeah.
Well, you can put more than that.
You can put more on that. Yeah. This was just our first. We literally got that off-grid kit the day before we were going to DC, and we just threw it on there. Like, in fact, we were running it for 5 days, and finally the batteries died. We're like, what the heck? How the batteries died? It turned out we only hooked up 2 of the 6 panels. So we ran for 5 days on the 3rd power. So it was pretty stout. So what we plan on doing is we have a 2-bedroom model this one's 25 feet long. So we have a 2-bedroom model that's 34.5 feet long. We're going to do a flat roof on it, and we'll do articulated solar panel mounts. So no matter which way you're positioned, the panels will follow the sun autonomously, right? So to have better efficiency. And that house has washer dryer. It'll have our water reclaim system. It'll have our water generator, and it'll sleep a family of 4 very easily, and then have enough excess resources to actually power up if you have another camper or something, or a tent people can stay in. And that's what we're going to present to FEMA as a real solution. We'll be able to sell those units for about $85,000.
Getting to that literally. Are there any regulations you'd like to talk about that are either for or against?
Yeah, that's actually why we're.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
We're trying to move this.
Yeah, actually, thank you, because I get hooked on all stuff so pretty easily. So yeah, so this was the encouraging thing, like I said in the beginning about Ben Carson saying, hey, listen, if we just deregulate and get out of the way, they'll solve the problems. So in so many counties, like you'll find, like here in Orange County, you'll find that you're not allowed to put one of these in a backyard as an ADU. Everybody know what an ADU is? An accessory dwelling unit.
Yeah.
So granny flat, whatever. So
In mother-in-law suite or
mother-in-law suite, yeah. So it's a great idea, and almost anywhere you can actually do an ADU. And they say, oh, here's the list of things you have to be able to do. It has to match the siding of the original house. It has to have my county, it's like $12,000 of permitting fees and impact fees. The structure has to be so many feet wide, whatever. It's a pain in the butt. And then you're married to it. Once it's in your backyard, if you go through all that money, you're married to it. You don't want to you can't just roll it off.
Yeah.
So even if you just need to take care of mom while she's, in her final years, or kids who just got married, they need a little, they want to live and save their money and pay off their student loans before they get out in the real world, you're stuck with that thing. And it costs you a lot of money. And guess what? They're going to raise your taxes on your property because it's an improvement, right? It improved the value of the property. So we are pushing, and we've got it passed in California and in Washington State just the week before in DC, to allow ADUs on wheels, movable ADUs on wheels in backyards, in full permitted, full allowed, and that's what we're trying to push to get accepted everywhere. Because it's not just for the people that need a cost-effective place to live, but also the people that are having trouble making their mortgage or just want some of that burden lifted off. Like my friends that live right downtown DC, they've got a house there it had to be $1.5 million, and they still had to remodel it all. It's horrible. So they bought one of our units, got it permitted, set up in the backyard. They're making $2 to $3 grand a month renting it on Airbnb. So that helps him pay to live in DC, so he can afford to stay there and work at his job that doesn't pay enough for him to live in DC.
Well, I'm gonna chime in here. We don't have a lot of time. So this is an ongoing conversation. You guys have, some of you have heard me mention that I truly believe that the Libertarians, certainly in Florida and absolutely positively in Orange County, need to be on the front lines of the housing conversation. I'm not saying we need to be the only problem solvers, but we darn sure need to be part of that conversation. And I think we're going to earn a lot of credibility when we come to the table with market solutions like these gentlemen offer. And Andrew hit the nail on the head. And if Ben Carson actually said this, I like him a lot better now.
I think Ben Carson wants to get out of
the
this.
government needs to get out of the way and let the entrepreneurial problem solvers do what they're good at and solve problems.
Yeah.
You know, and the motive is profit. And anybody that speaks negatively on capitalism and thinks that it's the reason we have problems doesn't understand capitalism, doesn't understand the market, and doesn't understand that you have to have that profit drive for people to spend that extra time. For a guy like Andrew that would wake up at 3 in the morning, and I spent a lot of time with this guy, he would wake up at 3 in the morning and pull out his graph paper and redesign what the inside of a 200, however many square feet, this little space is. I mean, this guy's been obsessing about how to maximize little spaces forever, okay? And honestly, he does it because he's just weird and loves it. But most people are going to do that because there's a reward for it.
Yeah.
And what is that reward? That reward is if I risk everything and I go in debt and I push forward with this idea and people like it and they start buying it, I'm now rewarded for that.
Right.
And that is not a bad thing, and shame on anybody for the perception that capitalism is the reason this world has the problems it has. So that's my soapbox on that. But, so, you know, I've been up to Tallahassee a couple times. I'm kind of shifting into my chair report here too, so we're maximizing some time here. You know, my little experience up in Tallahassee twice this year showed me that a small group of people that can get in a car and can go up there and maybe make some appointments before you get there and get in front of legislators is actually a powerful thing, and that we should be doing that, damn it. In spite of where we may lack resources elsewhere, we've got people that can get in a car and go to Tallahassee, and we can talk about issues. So, you know.
Yeah, it's surprisingly effective, especially when I've seen this. It's like, hey, you know, we spent over 30 grand just to go up there. You know, and we got slammed on social media a couple times. People saying, "Oh, all the presenters there are just taking government money and pocketing it for the gain." I was like, where the hell did you get that we're getting any of that money? We had to pay to be here. We're not even allowed to sell anything here. You know, so we actually did this because we want a better, you know, humanity.
What's funny is some of my Republican friends, when I started posting about Andrew going up, you know, that was their first response. So you support government buying these houses and giving them to people? And I'm like, no, that's what Republicans do. No, what he's going up there to do is find out how the hell do we break through this matrix of government and get them out of the way.
Out of the way so we can get our thing.
And so I wanted to bring Andrew into our circles. You know, I had invited him to come. I think he should speak at our LPF convention. I mean, I want to get this guy in front of as many people as possible because libertarians are just all about everything we just talked about. And it's the boots on the ground that needs to happen. And I just believe that if we can attach ourselves, like Wayne has been coaching us since I've known him, issues. What are some issues that we can get involved in and that we can positively impact people's lives? And you're going to draw them to us. Yeah. We're not going to draw them to us by slamming the platform in their face all the time. And, you know, now there's some people that are into that and they'll read it and they're like, oh, I like your platform, and they'll come join. But that's the minority.
And I don't know the path like you guys do to get things done, but I do have the contacts, I do have the credibility in industry. I mean, I just got invited again by HUD to come speak in Atlanta next month. I got invited by FHA to come speak in Texas. I got invited by FEMA to come speak in Miami. So I've got a platform there where I can maybe get some things done, but I don't know how to, like, I just got a message today that someone's like, hey, we'll write an entire legislation, or what to say, the bill for you if you'll take it to somebody, you know, that you're going to be in front of next week, you know. They'll write the whole thing out. So if you guys can help, you know, just kind of be the driving force, like, hey, do this. If you guys can get on this call, I never turn down the opportunity to go speak, to share with somebody, to help somebody. I never turn it down. So if you guys get opportunities where I can actually come and if it will help, I'll be there and I'll do it.
So the next step that I want to start working towards. I would like to see us, and we can debate this, you know, I mean, you can go two ways with this. You know, LPOC could host an event to have a conversation about affordable housing. I don't know if that's the best path. What I want to do, what I want to do is an event where we can invite Anna Escamani, Carlos. You know, these are people we may disagree with vehemently and completely on several things, but like it or not, they are up there defying the establishment. And on this particular issue, as it relates to housing, I think their heart is in the right place. I just think their solutions are wrong.
Another person I would think is some of the commissioners.
Absolutely. Well, I had invited my friend Kyle Becker to come tonight, so I'm going to get Kyle. So what I want to facilitate connecting dots is what I want to do, and I think that's maybe an evolution of how LPOC can start to be a little bit more effective, and then that's going to help us get the membership that we lack.
We're never more than one relationship away from being completely successful.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
So I served on the Orange County HUD board for 5 years with Orange County. I know all the programs that are going on in Orange County, and just so you know, not one person in one meeting that was public ever showed up. This is where we come in, because nobody's coming in to deny or say this is right or this is wrong. There's no opposition whatsoever. Never.
And you know the thing I kept saying while I was up there and I had the audience, and I said, hey, listen, I'm not asking for government money. I'm not asking for a system or a project or some sort of thing that's available to help us do this. I said, all I'm asking is for you to say it's okay to do it. All I want you to say is, sure, you can do it. You're allowed to live in a house that's movable. That's all I want you to do. That's it. I'm not asking for a handout, not asking for government contracts. And as far as the FEMA thing goes, my goal really is to keep that on the private sector. I mean, there's enough people like Matt Damon and all these rich, powerful, famous people that would be more than happy to dump $10 million into an effort that actually is going to make a difference.
It's actually doing something. Yeah.
I
So
suspect Elon Musk might actually want to.
yeah. So
He's into tiny houses. He's got one behind his
He's
Mountain
doing
Lakes in Australia right now, driving around the country.
So to bring this to a close, you know, I would like to see about a community event that we ask local legislators, I mean, one of the biggest roadblocks, and I learned this, kind of knew it, but learned it on the front lines going up with the Florida Apartment Association to Tallahassee and lobbying. You know, very market-based organization. Very, very pleased. You know, the biggest problem is this forced legislation that a lot of these municipalities do, these mandates. Okay, yes, developer, you can bring your project here, but we're going to demand you and force you to make 25% of your multifamily homes be affordable housing. And in Orange County, FAA and the local apartment organization beat this, thank goodness. The Orange County, the brains we have in our legislation in Orange County, not only wanted to mandate a percentage, but they were going to force them to have a third-party company manage those affordable houses. What developer on the planet is going to want to do that when they can go to the county next door and not have any of that headache?
Exactly. This is what I told the Lake County Affordable Housing Commission. I said, listen, you guys, I've got a big business here. We're growing fast. You know, I said, I could go to Alabama and do this without question. They won't question at all. I can put these all over the place. I can hire people over there. I can get a shop over, be a lot cheaper, a lot more cost effective. I grew up in this town. I graduated high school. I'm in where we were at. I was like, a teenager over here working at a car lot right across the street from where we are right now. I joined the Army, going home from that job one day. I decided to join the Army. I came back. I was like, listen, this is my town, and this is the place I'm not allowed to do what I've got to help people. And you don't need to force people to offer affordable housing if you make it available to people as an incentive to just put them in their backyard. So like, hey, you're helping me and helping you. And here's another thing it does. It starts mixing the different levels of social echelon, I guess. You start getting the people that are a little bit lower income, living in the backyard, so you have a higher income. You start getting that mix where people can start seeing each other as humans instead of on different levels of income, right? You know, doesn't have to be the upper class and the middle class and the lower class. They all live in the same neighborhood.
So we're going to pause because this isn't a finale of the conversation. I really appreciate Andrew coming. You know, we're gonna go to Chili's and hang out a little bit afterwards. So feel free to bring your conversations, and then you know next month we're gonna go kind of segue into a solar dialogue that's you know kind of in and around the same realm that we're talking about tonight. But you know, I want you guys to help, not me, but us, and just this idea of you know what would a community event look like in Central Florida that is basically a market-based conversation about solving the affordable housing problem. We've already heard the government. What's the government's plan? We need to raise taxes.
Yep.
Well, you've raised taxes and you still haven't solved the problem. You know, and they will never admit that they play a role in creating the problem.
They're only placing 15 people a year in homes right now.
Right. So that's why I think specifically the Libertarian Party in Orange County, I just think we have a great opportunity here to get some press.
A big win on your bill.
You know, and I know Anna and Carlos, you know, I mean, I hug them both when I see them in public. We know what we don't like about each other's ideals, but we also, you know, and I even laugh with them. I said, you know, I believe we're all wanting the same end goal. We just clearly disagree on the strategies. So, you know, we need to, and there's more moderates. I mean, they're just the two I like to pick because we pick on them for other things, but I think they're an asset in this conversation. So we're going to pause. We're going to move on through our meeting here, and let's give Andrew a round of applause here.
Count me as another tool in your toolbox.
Nice.
Nice.
You are kind of a tool.
Count us a little guy.
All right. Anybody need to take a restroom break or?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
I had a remote here somewhere.
There's one right there.
Oh. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we,
No, the later one.
Well, I don't think we were gonna do the meeting.
I think I'm